I don't know if it was a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction.
Welcome back. I finally get around to making a nowadays video. I still have a bunch of other little stuff that I could edit, but between going to flight school and working, and I'm making excuses. That's what I'm making excuses, and I should stop. I'm gonna edit all of those videos, and I'm gonna edit this video too. We'll see what happens. But got myself a new car. It's a 2012 Mini Cooper Countryman All4 manual. So my main reason for getting this car, and well, the main reason why Mrs. Manley allowed me to get a car, because between flight school and working, financially speaking, probably not the best, but I digress. The Jetta, the lease for the Jetta expires in December. Well into wintertime in the great state of Montana. And as you know, Montana is in the northern United States, and it is very cold and very snowy in December. So the All4 was a natural choice. Now you might be asking, why the All4? Why not a Toyota or a Subaru or any other all-wheel drive vehicles? Don't you think about hopping out the window? But you might be saying, why not any of those other fine, reliable automobiles with four-wheel drive? Well, Subarus, they're kind of a hit or miss. You'll find a Subaru on the market for a decent price, decent mileage, but it'll be like 150,000 miles on the body, 70,000 miles on the engine, always, across the board. It's always something up with the engine, so I wanted to avoid that. I love Subarus, love the way they look, but I wanted to avoid that. I was initially looking at a Volkswagen Golf R, but those are expensive. They are all-wheel drive. They do come with manual transmission, but they are expensive. I was also looking at some American automobiles that have, well, here's the deal. You either have all-wheel drive or you have a manual transmission. And I wanted both. You knucklehead. So I was perusing Facebook Marketplace and ran across the Mini Cooper, and I was like, minis, I don't know. I hadn't really done my research on it, and I'd seen that they had All4, and I was like, what is All4? Well, it's a part-time all-wheel drive. So it is full-time front-wheel drive, part-time all-wheel drive, meaning that if there's any sort of traction slip in the front wheels, it engages the rear. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Boom. They come with a manual transmission. Not only any manual transmission, but a 6-speed, which is very nice, especially for fuel mileage, of course, because the gear ratios are closer together, so there isn't much of an RPM drop as you're shifting through. It's for fuel mileage, yeah, for fuel mileage. But the one thing that was a big kicker is that they're easy to work on. The issues are known. But from what I've heard from people that have owned Mini Coopers that take care of them, say that they are mighty fine vehicles. So I had a bunch of options open. I wasn't really getting my hopes up. I had probably at one point in time, I had 5 different Mini Cooper Countryman All4. And in a couple of them, I was contacting them, and this one in particular I had contacted early on and was just asking questions about it, because this one, 2012, had 108,000 miles on it, rebuilt title. So I was asking a lot of questions about rebuilt title, what work was done, this sort of thing, and I had a bunch of other ones fall through, and this one just happened Just happened to work out. So I ended up going with this one. Ended up paying pretty much a rebuilt title's worth of money. But it is pretty nice. It is pretty nice. So the known issues, and in this video I will take care of all these issues. First and foremost is the O2 sensor. The upstream O2 sensor was faulty and was smashed. So I ordered a new one and will install it. Another problem was the questionable amount of oil in the engine. Mini Coopers are notorious for the oil that they burn through. The other thing is I had asked, goodness, when I asked the gentleman, when's the last time you had the transmission serviced? When's the last time you changed out or serviced the clutch? Oh, I didn't, does that need to be done? Yes, you have 108,000 miles on your vehicle. They usually say that the clutch should be at least looked at every 40,000 miles. So that is going to be another one that I have to figure out, because again, I'm Duke Manley. I try to do everything myself. I have to figure out a way, and I want to try doing this. I want to figure out a way to remove the engine transmission, the radiator, the condenser radiator, that whole bunch, and drop it out with the lower drivetrain. That way I can wheel it out, service everything, and then bring it and just attach it back to the body. I've seen it done. I want to try doing it. That's probably down the road, but definitely the clutch will need to be serviced. It does, going into first, easing out the clutch, it does slip sometimes. So that is something that will need to be addressed, not in this video. Another thing is I will add transmission fluid. It is a challenge and a half, and you will see, but I changed transmission fluid. Also rear diff fluid, finished that today, so you'll see a quick explanation of that. That one's cut and dry, real simple. But the front transmission fluid, trouble. Let's see. There is a problem with the horn. The horn doesn't work. And that'll be solved down the road. There's a bunch of other wiring problems that I need to solve. I change out, I don't think I recorded it. I changed out the both ABS wheel speed sensors in the front because I had a wheel speed sensor problem. And I think that's about it. Anything that I miss out on, you'll get little bonuses in this superset of little clips in this video. So editor me will include each of the timestamps in the description, as well as I was saying it. There will be the timestamps. But beyond that, it is a nice little vehicle. The O2 sensor, the upstream O2 sensor, I was having a lot of, especially hill starting, like being parked on a hill and going from a dead start. Oh man, that sucked. That was the most embarrassing thing, because when your O2 sensors are down, the computer will just have a standard set fuel mixture, which means that, and I believe the fuel mixture is more meant for like 40-50 for efficiency, that sort of thing, and around the 2,000 RPM mark there. But with going from a stop on a hill, I stalled it out so many times. So embarrassing. But after I changed that O2 sensor, so much better. I also had the wheel sensor code. Once I changed those out, all better. The only thing that I still have that I will address later on is just brake faults, brake warnings. My brakes work just fine. As long as that check engine light isn't active, I'm a happy man. So enjoy the video. If you learned something, leave it in the comment section below. And without further ado, past me will take over. So I'm not gonna lie, no point in it. Best for full transparency. I know very little about Mini Coopers. I don't know what that is. It looks like it's broken off. There was one. Hey, Merida, what's going? And there's one on this side that also appears to be broken off. So I'm gonna look up some part numbers and see what it is. All right, because of the luxury of this vehicle, this is a headlight washer, and I reckon it goes in there. It looks like there's some mounting hardware, which would explain with the front end damage that these would take the blend. But a headlight washer? Come on, that is too luxe. There's no, I mean, we'll just wipe it off. So now, thinking about it, in terms of these little window washers, I think I can just nix them, because I'm not that bougie where I've got bugs on my headlights. I need to wash them with my headlight washers, or else I will look so bad at the country club. Oh. So I think it is safe to say that I can just nix these, because this all goes down here to the washer reservoir down there, which I need to pull that out anyway to get to the bottom of why it's leaking. So I guess I'll do that now. Hey, it worked, depending on if I edited well. So, got this out. Remember I previously stated that this had a crack in it and that's what was leaking? No, there are two pumps. This one that goes to the fancy light sprayers, which, I mean, if this is still good, I reckon I might use this somewhere else. You know, maybe some like oil slick or something to get away from. I'm just dreaming. What I discovered was this is the pump that goes in there, and was not in there. And the nice thing is, I couldn't find where the plug was. Actually, perhaps. Oh wait, nope, just found it. I couldn't find where the plug was for this one because it was unplugged and just dangling there. And I found that the plug for this one fits for that one as well. But I just, as I said it, I just found it there. So what I'm gonna do is JB weld that hole, because that had this big tootie of a pump there. Just seal that one up, and then plug that into there as the Lord intended, and I reckon I fill her up and test it out. I think there's this sensor here that tells the car, hey, there's no fluid in me, and I think as long as that's reading empty, it won't run the pumps, because you don't really want to run pumps dry. That's my guess. And once I get this all pieced back together, as well as eliminating the headlight washers, then I'll test it out and see what happens. But yeah, kind of silly, kind of funny, a little annoying, all of the above. But it's something. At least I don't have to fix some big old crack in this or something. It's a hair bit easier than I had initially supposed. So we'll go to that point, I guess. It's the whole next day, and I JB welded a cap on this. Get it? Because you cap the hole. Well, I'd taken a water bottle cap. It was funny in my head. Now that I'm saying it, it's not really that funny. But I did the old inflation test. I would not recommend it because windshield washer fluid does not taste good, because I put my mouth on that to plug that hole, and it slightly inflated. So I reckon it is airtight and thus watertight. So I would just put it back in. Oh, the other thing I did yesterday was remove the hosing for the headlight washers. as well as the old pump. So that is all free and clear. I'm starting to weight save. This is going to be a performance vehicle. It's not. I'm totally kidding. Don't believe any of that. It's just going to be a nice daily driver. Next step is to get this back down into there via there. So do that. All right, got it in. All plugged up. I'm pretty sure I've got a water bottle full of sink water because I would not waste precious Kroger brand purified drinking water 16.9 fluid ounce bottle of water. So I'm gonna dump that in there. I'm gonna power up the old Mini here and see if anything comes out. There we go. And boom. Oh, window's open. That's right, it's just water. Look at that. That's actually quite aggressive. It's also pointing almost like perpendicular to the windshield. But not only that, but the one in the back works too. One thing that I'm beginning to notice are these little bits of galvanized steel. And at first, I was thinking it was OEM. But the more and more that I'm finding these little parts, the more that I'm starting to think it's not OEM. So, definitely interesting. I mean, let's be honest. Your boy Duke Manley would be doing the same thing too. So I don't have much to talk. It's just more. It's more funny to see the ingenuity of this old gentleman that I got the car from. Galvanized steel. Hey, smart. Galvanized steel, weather resistant. Why not? Here in my garage, with the All4, you've got your drive shaft going back, your transmission here. The drain plug, if this is the front of your vehicle, the drain plug's right here, and I've already cracked it a little bit, and it started sweating out. And the fill is kind of obscured, but if you look just above here, right back in there, right in the middle of the screen, that's where the fill is. So it's going to be a little bit of a dance party to get a wrench up there to undo the fill side. I'd seen someone else online do it where they had gone through where the shift linkage is at the top of the transmission and filled it up that way. And I didn't want to do that because that involves dismantling a lot of stuff up at the top as well. It's a cooling system, and I'll see if I can get to that there. If not, then I will do it the shift linkage way. So one thing, shout out to Tidy Cats, multi-cat clumping litter. Because once I pulled out the drain plug, it went all Old Faithful on me, decided to cover the ground. So may he rest in peace. One of my mom's cats passed away, and she's like, hey, you can use this to clean up some oil. And I said, nah, I don't spill oil. And I done did jinx myself. So yeah, it is still a little drippy. We'll add some fresh oil to it. Fresh oil. Now, in terms of what came out, I think it was the recommended amount of 2 quarts. This transmission's a 2-quart transmission, and we're going to put 2 quarts back in. So, using this contraption here to break it, I got it loosened. There we go. I got it loosened. Goodness gracious. So, I broke it by going all the way through here. I don't know if you can see it, but through the control arm all the way. I don't know if you can see my fingers. And I broke it that way. And then I took a shorter bit of it And I actually used two universal joints to get it broken, to weave through everything. But then I used just the shorter one up past the muffler here, and was able to loosen it further. And now I reckon I can use my fingers to get it out. If not, I can just, oh, maybe. But that is where I'm going to feed the fluid into via a hose, and I will show that in a second. So let me get this off. And the flavor we will be using today is a full synthetic 75W90. W90. And I've got my hose up in there. And this has a flex fill, easy to use, less waste, works in tight spaces. Thankfully, I'm not going to be that tight of a space. I mean, all things considered, this is a tight space, but at least I can. And it's been sitting in the sun, so it's nice and runny. It is very viscous, so I guess we get to squeezing it in, and we'll see what happens. I've never used this before, so we're gonna find out, because here at Duke Manley Makes, it's all about trial and error and learning from our mistakes. And anything I learn, I can tell you cool cats. So I reckon we just give her a squeeze. Seeing this makes me thirsty, actually. Well, it's going in. I'm expecting like a trickling noise or something, and it's silent. This is very, very boring. So I'm gonna cut to well, being done. And there we go. It's kind of silly, but you know you're done when it starts leaking the fluid back out. So now that it is full, I gotta say, yes, the bag was nice. You crinkle it and everything, and was able to squeeze it in there. The other bag's over there is pretty smashed from just gripping it. But my hands are so tired from squeezing that. But now I just got to get that put back in, get it to torque spec, and then that's all hunky dory. Next thing to do is the rear differential, but that's going to involve moving everything around, but we'll get to that. On to the next. Just eliminated the old O2 sensor. The old, not Slytherin, eh? Then Gryffindor. And put in a shiny new one. Now, it's not OEM, I understand. But your boy's on a budget, alright? I can't just go willy-nilly getting OEM parts and spending all that money. I'm trying to be a pilot. I gotta spend my money on that. But out of curiosity, so I have the front up on jack stands, and I put the rear end up on the jack just temporarily, and I put it into first gear to just let it roll. And I was worried that, because from what I had read online, was that when the system would detect a traction slip in the front, that then it would engage the rear. But it looks like the rear is active because the ABS sensors in the front are somewhat kaput. But my fear was because of that, it wouldn't engage the rear end. But the rear end's good. I don't know. I still have a lot to learn about this car. But once I get some other things figured out, then I can get this off the jack stands and take it to the streets and O2 sensor fault clears. Yeah. Learning every day, one step at a time. Now I'm going to be working on it today because it's 101 degrees outside, and I prefer not to work in a toaster oven, an air fryer per se. Oh hey, look. Huh. I guess I've never... Once we put a seatbelt on, I guess I've never really driven it hard enough to trigger ABS. So does the ABS work then? Let me take it out of gear. Cause look, anti-lock brake system, front wheel sensor right, front right missing, or wheel speed sensor front right missing, wheel speed sensor front left missing. But it's working. I'm confused. I don't know. I'm learning so much about this car, and the more that I learn, the more questions I have. Also, the horn still doesn't work. That also doesn't help that one part of the horn is here, but I'm rambling. On another note, my aluminium sign showed up, and they're quite light. I'm happy about that. Even the package was really light. So, this in here, oh, it's ridiculous. Ugh. It's gonna go. Oh, it's perfect. It's about 30 inches across, 30 inches long. I'm happy with that. And what I'll have to do is figure out, I do have angle iron to get a little kink in it, do a couple little bends, but I can use, and that's kind of what I was banking on, that bolt point and that one both rest within, so there'd be enough purchase room. But that's great. Oh, that's great. I'm so happy. Just gotta figure out how to go about mounting it in the back. I tried the other day when I was changing the transmission, I was trying to take this brace off, and it was stuck as can be, and I don't have torque tools to really get it out, so I quickly gave up that effort. Well, I just gotta figure out where to mount the back end, but the dimensions are perfect. All right, as previously described, got the sign here. I got these holes all lined up. I went 1.25 inches off each, squaring into that spot there. Test fit it, and I also ran these just a hair wide to allow for adjustability and whatnot. But it fits. The only thing is, it's a little snug. About, I don't know if it left a mark, but about 1.5 inches, so 1 foot, so I should say 12.5 inches, off the end here is about where about right in there is where the exhaust bends and goes underneath the car. So I'm gonna make a bend across there, and also going, I think I measured 2.5 inches. Make another bend here, so we'll bend it this way, and then that 1.5 feet we'll bend it that way. So then it'll kind of do a boop, 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 that little deal. So then I can hook at the front and have it come down a little bit. I don't want it resting exactly against the exhaust, because it's going to be hot. But just to kind of, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. This Duke Manley makes. Duke Manley makes an undercarriage guard using an Old Street sign. I'll make it work. All right, got it clamped in. Already started taking some hammer hits to it, and being a little bit gentler. It's not the most delicate process, but 2.5 inches, 2.5 inches, well, yeah, 2.5 inches, and it seems to be holding pretty well with the 2 vice grips. And I mean, this is aluminum versus steel, so it's a lot easier to finagle and operate, but I reckon this ought to be just fine. So I will keep the bending and then move it up to the next point and bend that, and then we'll see what it looks like at the end. There we go. And test fit it. I had this little bend in the end, and I'll show you once I get into place. But that is to mount, more of a friction mounting, and I'll show you that. But overall, for my quick little bender using the angle iron and some locking pliers, I think I got myself a pretty good deal. I'll go install it, and then I'll show you how it looks. Ta-da! And crawl around here. Clear up the exhaust to the transfer case. Well, apart from right here, that's where I was talking about the friction fit, because I've got it hooked under here, and it's not to toot my own horn, but that's not going anywhere. I might take it back out and bend this flat, mark it here, and just put a bend there, because it's, I mean, that's like 1/2 inch away from the drive shaft here, and I don't want to be, I don't want anything to go wrong where, you know, something might get stuck or something like that. So I think I'll take it and bend the very end of it. But apart from that, I'm really happy with it. Plenty of room, so if I do hit something, that there's still a bit of flex here, so it's not right up against the engine or transmission. Be able to, you know, offer some protection, shield it a little bit. But beyond that, I am thrilled. Look at that, that's ridiculous. And then, from the outside, you don't really see it. It's very, very discreet, which I think makes just a fine little Easter egg there. I am very, very happy with that. Simple. That sign there was $49.99 on eBay. Bought it from a fella in Ohio that sold a bunch of them. But yeah, dash plate, $49.99. I mean, if you got a hammer and some angle iron, that'll help out, but if you just got a hammer, I'm sure you could figure some way to bend it. But an elegant solution, or maybe not elegant, very trailer trash solution, if I might say so myself, but it'll work, and it's aluminum, and it's a lot cheaper than a $600 OEM undercarriage bash plate, or a $300 aftermarket aluminum bash plate, $50. You can't beat that. Can't beat it. Inspecting the final drive rear differential area, and not much for room under here, but you know, I like tight spaces. I find that strangely comforting and slightly unnerving when I can't really get myself out. Not important right now. What is important is there is a hose. This hose here. This hose that goes over here and is clipped into place for the purpose of refilling the rear differential here, not refueling, but adding oil. Lo and behold, this is not plugged in. And the little hose barb, this elbow, I don't know if you can see it. Shift under here. But, right back there. Okay, so you've got the wire here just right at the end of my finger. That's where that hose barb is, where that hose is supposed to connect to. And it's not. So, is there fluid in the rear diff? I don't know. So this is just going to end up being a superset of videos here. Out here another day. Finally figured out how to get this off. So what I initially tried to do, because I don't have a 14 millimeter Allen key, is I got these bolts and stuck them together. But I had, this was like an inch long thread. And I did have that and this nut torqued together and ended up breaking that off and putting that in there and kind of getting the socket on it before I realized that I could do this deal. But now I have it loosened. I was able to get half of the socket onto it and get it loosened. Let me see. Actually nothing should come out. And nothing did come out. Because what you do is, see the diff in there? Maybe in there. There you go, you can see it. You put the oil down in there, but oh, there's oil in there. Okay. So you take the hose, you remove the old oil. As I'm getting my oily fingers all over it, remove the old oil and put the new oil in, and then you put it back on. Easy as that. And this one comes with the fancy little rubber washer, so I don't need that copper crimp whatever piece it is. I don't know if I do need it. It didn't have it on it. Again, backyard mechanic here. Roast me in the comments, whatever. Let's do it. So I'm using the same hose. Oh, and there we go. And a turkey baster. Or the same hose from the front, if you remember all those days ago. But this is quite full. So looks like it'll be not too much of a deal getting this emptied out. I'm very satisfied with this here doohickey. So I got it pretty dry, and even going all the way back into this corner, I'm not getting anything out. It is dry. Quite an amount of fluid that I got out of it, but now to replace the fluid. And again, I'm using Galvanized 75W90 and this nice squeeze bag. And I think I will use what is left over from the last one, because I had a little bit left. There's a little bit left in there. Empty this out, and then I might tap into that one. If not, no big deal. Let's do it. Alright, same deal with the front. You fill it till you spill it. So I haven't tightened it on yet, but it is filled to the brim, being the very edge of that. But it seems like it's pretty level, so that should be about as much as she can take. So happy with that. Nice clean fluid inside and not too hard to do. The only thing was that the only reason why I didn't buy an actual 14 millimeter Allen was just because I don't reckon I will ever need a 14 millimeter Allen. I don't know rightly what else I would use a 14 millimeter Allen for. So a little bolt with some nuts would suffice for the job for now. Heaven forbid I'm digging into this deeper. Turns out that there's 100 other different nuts and bolts and stuff that need a 14mm Allen. If that's the case, then I will buy the tool. If not, this little bodge here did the trick. I have clean transmission oil in there now, and she is ready to drive. Welcome back to the present. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope that you found it quite beneficial to your knowledge and understanding. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comment section below. If anything that I didn't cover, you have questions about, maybe we could learn together, figure it out together. Mini Coopers and BMW-esque vehicles are new to me. I'm usually a Volkswagen guy, and this is a little bit out of the norm for me, but I like learning. I like new things. I like challenges. I like doing things myself. It makes me a happy man. And especially after my accident, getting back to just wrenching on a vehicle and having a fun vehicle is just delightful. I couldn't be more thrilled. I'm happy with how this vehicle performs. Yes, there are the flaws. There are the little things, the stuff here and there that annoys me. But beyond that, it is a solid machine. And I look forward to producing more videos, working on this and modifying this within reason. I wouldn't do anything extreme modifying it, Mrs. Manley. Is she gone? Oh, good. I've got so many plans. I want to make a roof rack for it. I want to get rid of, there are 3 mufflers. You have your cat, you've got 2 mufflers that are in the middle, and then you've got that big muffler in the back. I want to get rid of the 2 middle mufflers. That's going to be a future video. All right, Mrs. Manley isn't here. But I appreciate your patronage, appreciate you watching, and I will talk to you next time. Stay rusty. Dagnabbit.